All right there, folks. So I am back. This isn't a campaign. It's not a tutorial. No, it's the Battle of Chickamauga. And I had someone some time ago suggested that I go ahead and give this a try. I feel like I started playing this once as the CSA, and it kind of got me nowhere. Well, it's not that it got me nowhere. It's that I started, and then I kind of got bored. I was like, eh. But now we have the eye candy that is those 3D models that, as I move us through some of this stuff, we're going to really be able to feast our peepers on. And yeah, and just enjoy a historical battle here, rather than something that's part of a campaign, or rather than, some long-winded tutorial, as I tend to do. But I've heard that Chickamauga can be a challenge. I should have asked for greater clarification here. We're just getting some opening moves done, so we don't really need to watch too much of that. I had heard some folks say it's a real challenge, and I didn't ask whether it was on the CSA side or the USA side that they were facing the challenge. I think the one time I did this, all right, so we're moving across the forward here. We can see the map. I think when I did this as CSA, the real challenge was getting across the fort in this bottom part. So yeah, right about here, that crossing presented some real challenges, if I recall this correctly. And this was, wait a minute, this is not it. No, this is not it. This is in the middle. We'd have to go further down into the left. But here, all right, we had the cav and the artillery. That's going to be a tough fight. Okay, this is what I'm actually talking about. So it's Lee and Gordon's Mill that I remember from the one time I tried this as the CSA. I got, I think, completely stuck in this crossing or something like that. And I got frustrated, so I was like, all right, forget this. I ain't doing this. And, rage quit. That was probably months ago. It could have been a week ago. I have no idea how time works anymore. But it seems like there's certainly a challenge. The overall numbers, if you're not familiar with the historical battle, the overall numbers are pretty darn close to dead even. I feel like as the attacker, having to have to go over the river here, which I believe is the Chickamauga, that is a real challenge. And my army is far more spread out than I would choose to have it during a kind of campaign battle. But that allows me the full scope of the map to do what I'm going to do. So in the center here, this is kind of the center left, we have a pretty, this is where most of my forces are, and we have, I think, a completely unopposed crossing. To my right, there are, I think, 3 crossings, and the 2 closest are contested. I believe that this is the Alexander Bridge one, and this one, I can tell you, is going to be the most contested of this battle. Hope I didn't spoil too much. Up over here, I think that was the uncontested crossing, and I thought there was one that was below. Yeah, this one, right here. So it's the Reed's Bridge. There is a cav unit there, and, well, you'll see how that goes, but that is what is holding that. And the way this map works, not sure what I'm doing here. Well, I'm trying to go back and forth. I don't know if it's captured on here. I think it is, but I have to change the scroll speed. But I was also getting a lot of lag. I don't know if it's the new update, right, the 1.03 something is what introduced the 3D models on the dev branch. I'm not sure if that's what's causing this or something else, but I was getting 20, 22, 25 frames, something like that. And again, I don't have the world's greatest supercomputer. I mean, in the world of computers, I would say mine's a little bit more than a potato. It's probably like a potato with sour cream, but it's not as good as a twice-baked potatoes. But it's better than just the basic generic. Did I say tomato? I meant potato. Anyways, it's good enough. And if this was late 2019, it would be even better. But it's not. It's late 2021. So we'll do what we can. On the far left, what you now see in front of you. So this is a division. It has 3 infantry brigades and an artillery battalion attached to it. The Union does not contest that cross. I do. I'm not sure exactly what the Union's plan was here. But by not contesting that crossing, I get what they're doing. I think they're trying to consolidate in the middle. And if you don't know what this is from the CSA's perspective, so up here, as we get to the far right, top right-hand corner of your screen, that kind of brown patch, it's a cornfield or some other crop. Union forces will be coming down that road later on. Again, I hope I'm not spoiling too much of this, but that's just the way it's going to happen. And I guess the Union initially kind of backs off, or at least the AI strategy is to back off and try to consolidate in the center, which is not terrible. There are victory points there, which are actually you're kind of just seeing now. But you can see there's kind of that arc that's forming. I think the Union forces are coming pretty close to where they're about to stop things now in front of. It's not Vineyard, I don't think. It's Vinard or whatever it is. You see what I do here is I send up my conventional screen of skirmishers. I can tell you in real life, right, almost exactly after I finished this battle, the devs dropped a dev patch update where now the skirmishers, once they stop moving and they're either just standing there or shooting, they now kneel, basically when they've been brought to a halt. I haven't detected any other kind of effect on their performance in game in terms of range or rate of fire or cover or anything like that. I don't know. But it is a cool, even if it's just a cosmetic update, it's cool. Okay, so this is a huge blunder. If you've never seen my campaigns, I rely heavily on artillery. Now, this is not horse artillery, but it's artillery. And what I done initially was send all this entire division, maybe even two, with orders to go and capture Alexander Bridge. And I had been stopping the skirmishers and infantry brigades as they came up, but I forgot to give stop orders to the artillery. And so that's going to end up costing me my battalion right there. Boy, I sure hope I don't do that again, because this is not the world's greatest arty map. But choke point maps like this can be good for arty if you can get a clearing to fire across whatever's creating the choke point. In this case, it's the river. Now, this is also a relatively flat map. There, are some exceptions to that on the left, or my left center, which we'll get back to in a little bit. But for the most part, this is a pretty flat map, and there's a lot of vegetation, there are a lot of trees, and so, at least in the part where this historical battle begins, it's not a great killing ground for arty, except... Oh, you're going to see it right now. So I get 2 battalions up here. I should have had a third. I did have a third I was thinking about, and I just wasn't sure that I could get them in. And so this battalion stays with that division, and you'll see how that works out. But it's basically just going to be slogging up the road, more or less fighting on level ground. But it is there to provide some close artillery support for the infantry. So we got our usual screen of skirmishers advancing in the front. This artillery is peppering them. Now, they're moving. They're still in that process of consolidating in the center, in front of Vinard, or however it's pronounced. The other screen of skirmishers I sent from my main force on that left center are kind of consolidating in that almost peninsula between the 2 U-turns in the Chickamauga. So we see the first here, the other is off screen to the left. But there it is. This is frustrating as anything, and it doesn't make too much sense to dwell on, but I was trying to get infantry brigades to march to the left of where my skirmishers are and start shooting that dismounted, I believe, loose formation. But they're at least dismounted cav. That felt like it would have been quite good. It doesn't happen. I hope I'm not spoiling the whole video, but like that's why you're watching the video. I'm sorry. We have our skirmishers up engaged with their skirmishers in the form of cav. However, their cav are far more numerous, or at least relatively more numerous, because this is not a campaign, so we're not seeing the full-strength brigades. When we see some of our CSA brigades, cavalry, infantry, and otherwise, you'll see that we're not really near the 2,000-person cap, 2,000-man cap. But there it is. Already pretty early in the battle, without contesting me at all on my left, their right. We are now starting to pen them up here in the center. And they had a nice little area back there. Never mind Lean Gordon Mill, which I think would have been a great place to hold. There's a little bit of elevation, choke point, and all that other stuff. But even behind it, just to the left of the screen, all right, so it's basically off the screen now. There is that clearing in the forest behind it. They could have set their artillery up there and pounded me as I came up the road and tried to unify the center and the left wing of my army here in front of Vineyard. I'm just going to call it Vineyard. I know that's not how it's pronounced, but whatever it is. And what you're seeing now is 3 skirmisher detachments trying to slug it out with their cav. Again, their cav are generally more numerous, so here they have almost 2,000. I have 600 skirmishers there if they're all firing. With cav weapons, they're generally going to be firing more quickly. The downside of that is that they are firing more quickly. So if they're doing this for a long period of time, I don't know, unless the ammo starts spawning out of nowhere, we're kind of in trouble. And the rest of my line, my infantry brigades, I'm struggling to get them to come over to the left. I think I try to send 1 or 2 to the right as well. So here we see, that's the one brigade that's up a bit. I'm trying to use my waypoints to get it to move right and to put additional fire, but without sending directly in front of the cavalry. You can see how much success I'm having with all that. But the good news is, on my right, with the exception of this one cavalry brigade that is holding up kind of 1/2 of that rightward thrust, we've made it through on the far right. And the path for them, unsurprisingly, is going to be to come up to Jay's Mill, which you see right here to the left, kind of behind that cavalry brigade. It doesn't take a genius to figure out my move would then be to dislodge that cavalry brigade, allow the rest of that force to join up, and then get at that artillery battalion and that cav brigade that is holding up that 3rd and final thrust on the right side, and then allow them to move up and support this push on the center. This battle starts pretty late in the day. I think it's around noon or so. Right? It's not like a 6 a.m. start, and it's a mid-September battle, so there should be quite a bit of daylight, but not as much as some of the other times of the year. I was seeing how much of a push I could get in. I did not read up on the history that they gave me here, so I don't know when their reinforcements are coming, but it kind of feels like I have a numbers advantage. If they did, I think that they would have sat on most of those choke points, and they probably would have won this battle, but I assume they're pulling back because they're waiting for reinforcements to come to them. And so my view is, don't wait for nighttime. Get in there and push them as hard as you can. So their artillery batteries, 3 are squaring off against my 2. I've been shooting at them for a while, and so we'll see what happens. There's still the weird thing where detachments are fleeing at odd angles relative to infantry. If I can remember my angles here, right, 180 degrees would just be kind of straight away. You can see that one group with the yellow, I think it's the cohesion. No, it's not cohesion, it's something else. Underneath them, they're fleeing at kind of like a 45-degree angle to the infantry brigade in front of them. And I'm now running into a traffic jam here in the center because I've sent several divisions over. And initially I did this all brigade by brigade for the most part, because I wasn't really sure what I was going to run into. And now I need to get the divisions together, to get the commands together, to get the morale stuff going, because we're going to be in combat soon, and also to decrease order delays. Where are we at? So we're still over here. Yeah, I'm still trying to get the divisions over here together. It's still skirmishers in the front that are just trying to keep their forces from pushing up too hard. What I like here is that they have, right, that artillery, remember, is the artillery that's engaged with my 2 battalions across the way. But now we have 3 attachments that are coming up into the flank of that 1st battalion. And one of the, I think, few 1v1s that skirmishers will tend to win, defined as who breaks first, is against artillery. And now we have a 3v1 in terms of our skirmishers on that artillery battalion, and they're set up to fall like dominoes. If I can 3v1 the first and break it, then I can 3v1 the second, and all the while, hopefully my artillery was supporting me, but I did not mess with, that's the technical term, I did not mess with the firing directions to the battalion, so I did not order them to counterbat. So they're, by default, I think, left on free fire, and they're shooting whatever they can. So now you can see the reinforcements are starting to come in. And look in the bottom right-hand corner. Maybe I should pause the video. Yeah, okay. Well, you see in the very, very right corner there, there is a Winded Horse Artillery Battalion. And for whatever reason, you can see it took a terrible path to get across the river. In fact, tried to just jump over it, and that didn't work. And now it's realizing, oh, we got to go around using roads. I find out there they got 2,000 men coming down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop and turn around 2 cavalry brigades. And we're just going to have them go back and kind of sit where I think the Horse Artillery Battalion is going to come closest to the infantry. And I want to at least challenge that infantry brigade with my cavalry rather than letting them get another free pick on my artillery. So one of the things I think I fast forwarded through was the takedown of another artillery battalion, and it was not here. It was at the ford. Maybe I'm going to it now. Right there. Okay, we just passed it. Because the same thing that happened to that other artillery battalion happened to the other artillery battalion that was part of that division, or the other division that was assigned to cross there. I forgot to give it a stop order, and by the time I realized it, they were like 75 yards away from the dismounted cav, and they just got toasted as soon. I think I did give them. I think I tried to put them into at least unlimbered so that they could shoot, but I don't even know if they shot before they ended up getting routed off. So yeah, I lost even more artillery, and one of the things I did not have an advantage on this map, at least numerically, is overall numbers of arty. So I've lost big on that right-hand side, and I don't want to have to lose any more if I can avoid it. I don't think... Yeah, it's already happened because I don't see it chugging up the road. But that cav brigade has held up at least one division, destroyed 2 artillery battalions. But now Wheeler is the first, and yeah, there's I think that said it was Force Cavalry is also going to come down, and we're going to get the backside of that one, the flankmost cavalry brigade that has been holding up that group on the bridge. So my hope is once we get them, we'll be able to link up with them, and then we're just going to steamroll towards the center, because what I'm starting to think about now, you can see that cav moving in for the kill. And this battalion here, I think, is the third one that I realized, hey, don't send it across. No, that was the other fort. Never mind. That battalion survives because of the mistakes I made with the other 2. Yeah, we gave them a slightly long way around, but we gave them a way to avoid running into cav, and they very much appreciated that. So what I'm going to start seeing, but I don't think it's quite here on the map. We got some action. So we got the 1st Battalion to break there. It looks like they've detached at least a brigade, if not 2, to also come over and try to help out that artillery from my skirmishers picking on them. I've been focusing on the right, so my infantry brigades on the far left are not really where they need to be. But if they're just going to leave artillery on their flanks, or one brigade, that's easy pickings, especially when I have artillery shooting at them from across the I think it's the Chickamauga. I don't know if it's the Chickahominy or whatever. Not that good on geography. But if I can push and I can get to that little creek that runs up to Venard, it's going to be much easier to unite that with the largest part of my force in the center and push these guys. And I'm going to start to see... Alright, we've got a little bit of 3D model action going on. I think there's quite a bit of lag here as the units are moving through one another. That there's a pretty significant reinforcement component on their right. It's not just that one brigade. Where there's one, there are many. And my solution to that problem is not to go fight them where they are, but to bring the folks who are up there down to this fight in the center, where they can be of use. We're closer to that than their reinforcements are on our right, and so my view is if they want to be effective, they're going to have to trail us down here, and they're going to be just as tired, if not more, than we are by the time they arrive. But they should arrive too late. So this is, again, is the big holdup. That cav brigade has done a good job plugging that hole, but as the cav brigade on its right, I believe is now routed. Even if you haven't seen it, it doesn't take long to do. That means that it is now the rightmost unit that is holding, and it's going to get hit from behind. You can also see it's got ammo problems. It's a downside to rapid firing. They've been rapid firing a lot at skirmishers who have been prone, and so they're getting kills and all that, but they're not getting the kind of volume of kills they need to make me pay a price. Up here on the right, you can see that the rescue mission is successful, or at least it appears to be successful, as both cavalry brigades show up, and that's going to allow the horse artillery to pull through them, while the cav does some rear guard action stuff here. So that's pretty neat. What is this? Okay, so that shows that cav brigade that was routed above the big holdup, and now you're starting to see some of the units get put into place to roll up the rest of their right, which at this point is just that artillery battalion and that cav brigade at the Alexander Bridge. This is still on the left, and I believe that's not a new RD battalion pickoff, because they had 2 there before and they have 2 there still in action. My artillery battalions are plugging away. I don't know why their HQ, their kind of 4-star, was so far behind the whole battle, but they were. Here's a glorious video here of our rear guard action. They did kick out skirmishers, and so the group on the left has shorter range than my group on the right. And so I think at this point they're both pouring it into those skirmishers, probably not having too much of an effect, but I think pretty soon I'm going to move the group on the right to start engaging with their artillery. I'm going to move the group on the left to engage with their skirmishers and try to break them. All right, the way is clear here. And so we're coming around to the backside of Alexander's Bridge, and I don't exactly remember what we're going to be doing after this. I think the idea is to try to link up around Vinard and come down on the right, which is a part I have not been pressing. I've been pressing them on my center, well, the center, and my left, their right, but not on my right, their left. And I can see that. I think this is about the time I realized that the ammo problems are there for them, and I know that they're not going to be that long for the world. It's a little after 4 p.m., again, mid-September. Up here, a lot of my skirmishers are getting shut off, but they've generally done their job. Unless the Union at this point is going to turn around and make a concerted press on the center position, I think they're done for. I'm spread out enough. Here I am, casualty check. I'm much further ahead than I thought, particularly since you can see they've actually lost more artillery than I have. And now the numbers have equalized in terms of numbers on the field. But my artillery in general is more protected, and I think getting some better shots than theirs. So it ended up being an advantage I didn't think I would have. I'm going to toy with the idea of keeping that brigade on the far left, but it's just toying with the idea. But otherwise, yeah, general skirmish fest. I would have liked to have zoomed in even more frequently, but there was a lot of moving left and to the right because I had to keep an eye on things. Yeah, here at the bridge, but also it was mostly just about getting troops down, because now it's just a matter of time to get in that back door. You can see the 3D models are spazzing out, just like the old sprites. All right, that happens. That's fine. More rearguard action. Again, this is pretty glorious stuff. You can see that horse artillery has now gotten a pretty good lead on probably what were its pursuers, and is looking to join in that big old knockout blow we're trying to amass on the right. All right, that's not the greatest the greatest graphics, watching their cav collectively have an epileptic episode. This is where I decided it's time to bring that infantry brigade back, because I see one that's just holding that crossing over that little creek or stream, and I'm thinking, 3v1. Notice the one thing I have not yet done in this battle is use my formations. I've been big in the recent campaigns on using those formations, particularly the assault column. You can see that those are not inconsiderable numbers on the right. This Union brigade here on the left, the very most left part of the screen, I'm worried that it's going to try to get in behind my cav and cut off the retreat, at least slow it down. I see that they're either very tired or exhausted, and so I know they're going to have problems, but it's at this point I decide it's time to pack up and get out of there. I get the short-ranged cav guys mounted up first, while the long-range ones, I believe, are continuing to engage their artillery. They'll get their first movement order, and then I'm going to mount up the longer-ranged brigade, and I'm going to get them moving. And there it is. The cork in the bottle has been popped out. It's now just that one artillery battalion against several infantry brigades. One cav and a second cav brigade are going to be showing up in the back door as well, and so that brigade or that battalion is not long for this map. If they had also made a concerted push against my left, which numerically would have made more sense, they could have crunked this and then allowed themselves an area behind Vinard to pull back and avoid a major loss before the before the morale stuff led them to a major loss. But they're kind of just holding in and around that victory point. All right, I was trying to give you a little bit of close-up action here to see those 3D models in all their glory. In my head, I'm gearing up for the assault. I don't think my army is ready to do it because you can see that a lot of them need work on what is the attribute called, but they're a little disorganized. They need to get their ranks closed up before they can move. But I know I've lost a lot of skirmishers. You can see some of my other skirmishers are low on ammo, and so they'll start to fire slower. And so in preparation for there being a big push here on the right, I'm going to kick out a new wave of skirmishers. You don't really need to see all of that. You kind of know what that is. I get my skirmishers back from those who have been routed, and we're making a push on that one infantry brigade, which is now yielding this crossing, which is exactly what I wanted. I didn't even have to send my full infantry brigades in to engage to get them to push. That skirmisher group is from my center, and it's now linking up with my left. That's also something the Union the AI, in this case the Union, fought hard to have prevented, but they were unable to. Unsurprisingly, that artillery battalion breaks, and now the great race is on. This group, my forces that are up here, I think, yep, they're going to mount up now, and that's the last group I'm waiting for. They're the fastest moving. Yeah, that horse artillery, it's going to move slowly because it's tired, but it's got such a lead, and it is horse artillery. It will eventually make its way. And now, if any of those forces want to try to make a difference in this fight, they now got to follow me. Rather than fight me, they're following me, and that means I'm gonna, all things being equal, get there first. All right, what do we have? We have some action. This is back in the center. They're down to one artillery battalion. I still have both of my artillery battalions kind of just below what we're looking at now. I believe they're still plugging away. That's the occasional puffs of smoke. And it's right around this point in the map where I take a look at the clock. It's 5 p.m. Things have really developed in the last 45 minutes in game. And I feel like I'm so close, and I don't want the day to end. They get reinforcements. They get to get entrenched. And then it's like, oh, well, you know. now you got to fight a much more well-organized army. The artillery numbers would be even. It could become far more of a toss-up, and kind of all of today's progress could go out the window. So I make the decision, we're sending everybody who can go in, unless they're winded or really disorganized. We'll hold them back, and there's risk in this strategy because you're not sending your whole force in. Effectively, I would send half the brigades in the center in, but I thought I had a chance. I was still making progress on the left. I completely evaporated the forces I could find on their right. I didn't know if there were more coming down there or in the center. I was a little concerned at one point they might come down on my far left, down to Lee and Gordon's Mill, and then come behind me, and that would have presented a kind of whole world of problems. And so I figure, rather than worry about that, there you can see the divisions are getting their orders from the far right. That's where I want them to end up. Rather than wait for reinforcements to come in and worry about that, just take the fight to them and try to finish them off before reinforcements arrive. So we're gearing up for the final assault. They're getting their orders to move in. All right, and you can pretty much see what's going to happen now. I mean, the forces that are left there, they're running low on ammo. They're being targeted by multiple other units, frequently it's skirmishers. They're tired, and they're now going to start to get flanked because the skirmishers, the kind of second wave skirmishers, are coming up. The full brigades are right behind them, and the push on the left is going to be renewed. And if this battle goes long, they're going to start seeing some of my forces show up on my right, their left. And that's kind of what it looks like at the overall map. I'm going a bit wide with that group. Maybe it was too wide, certainly wider than it needed to be to affect the battle at Vinard. but I don't really know how the AI is going to move. All right. Looks to me like the brigades are now starting to close distance. It's a lot of micro to keep all those skirmishers up, so I think at this point I'm clicking through on skirmishers and the infantry brigades and just telling them to shoot individual units that are left. Maybe we'll just watch a little bit here at the end as the in-game. Oh, they've already announced that they're retreating. That's why there's only 28 left, and it's red. So at this point, I know that they're broken. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to get some picks on those units that are left. I believe in the end, I end up breaking all of them. We get real dangerously close to nighttime here, but I'm pretty sure the final... Okay, so the last two there, they're wavering, right? All their other friends are routed. We're pressing up in the face of it all. And that is the final tail of the tape right there. Tail of the tape, I think, actually happens at the beginning, but you get what I'm saying. That is the final score of it all. Again, for not being campaign, for being on a battle where we had to attack across several choke points, I thought all things being considered, we did pretty well. So I like the 3D sprite, or not 3D sprite, 3D model action. I liked the battle. There was certainly that challenge element. If people meant that I should try it as the Union, go ahead and let me know that, and yeah, I'll be happy enough to give that a whirl. As hard as my problems were, if they're dealing with reinforcements that are really far off, I could see how this would be a real challenge for the Union, but I also see some ways that the AI might have been able to play that a little bit better.